Whatever.
Okay, here we
Give us some hair. You ain't gonna come in here. Okay,
go.
baby.
Shh. All right, so we're back again. If you're just tuning in, then you're gonna be wondering, what you mean we're back again? So this is the second time. So you guys gotta forgive me once again. The one man show behind all these hats, like Heyman from In Living Color 30 years ago. I didn't hit the go live button. I thought it was actually gonna go live automatically. At any rate, so we're starting this broadcast fresh and brand new, and everything that has been said needs to be said all over again. So. With that said, I'll just go through my formalities. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for tuning in. We hope that we've compelled you a little bit with our title to tune in because we do understand that everybody, and I mean everybody globally, is being challenged by this part of Earth's history, the coronavirus era. And so I just wanted to welcome the fellas back once again, second time tonight. Doc Chris, top right. Terrence Clark, bottom right, bottom left. Paul Stevenson, welcome, fellas. Oh, y'all don't want to say hi now, huh? Because you done said it twice. You said it once already. It's all good. So we're here today because we're talking about some challenges that everybody's dealing with, but everybody's not dealing with them in the same way, and understandably so. We have not seen anything like this, really. Okay, some will argue that, well, Stan, we had the Spanish flu that was comparable or greater. And we've had other pandemics that devastated the world. And I would have to agree that, yes, we did see those. The problem is that they didn't get the attention, they didn't have the psychological impact that this one does. The world has been made smaller because of communication, because technology allows us to see what's going on in any part of the world instantaneously at a moment's notice. And none of that was ever true before. So the only news you could get was news that was local. And that had a different bearing on one's psyche. But nowadays, we get to watch this, hear this, get a full diet of it on cable news as well as the internet, and the influence of that on one's mind takes the toll. It carries weight. So we're dealing with something that I now argue we've not had to deal with before, and so it's pretty challenging. And so the question for today is, how do you find peace um, at a time like this? And so we've got four people on this show that I believe can help. Um, Between the testimonies of the four of us here, surely somebody who's listening can find something that they can relate to, and find something good that they would say that this is encouraging. And I think that this will help me with what I'm dealing with. So with that said, I'll go ahead and open up the floor if anybody else wants to start. How are you dealing with it, fellas? And again, let me stress, this isn't about just surviving, because if all we want to know is how to survive, we can turn on Discovery Channel and watch Naked and Afraid. But this is about experiencing challenges and dealing with them with a sense of joy, um, with a peace of mind, if you will. Now that's a little bit more difficult. So I'll open up the floor, man. Whoever wants to take that baton.
Yeah, I was saying that some of us are not having that hard of or that difficult of a time hibernating with our wives and hibernating with our children. Um, it's just I guess because I'm a newlywed, it doesn't bother me. I'm not saying that it bothers you guys. I'm saying that I'm actually enjoying the time with my wife and being able to uh, get to know her even more. But aside from that fact, how do you find peace in a time like this? And I was saying that you need to make sure that you keep up with yourself, keep up with your health. I was just I just caught a glimpse of someone right across the walkway from me, and it looked like they were exercising inside their house. I saw a guy riding his uh, not riding, but he was walking on his treadmill. He had it out on his balcony. He's riding, walking on his treadmill. So it's important for us to keep up our health. It's important for us to keep up with our vitamin C. It's also important for us. These are the things that are going to give you some assurances outside of the fact that we are. I think it's safe to say that the four of us are worshipers, and when I say that, I'm talking about Jesus Christ. But
Mm-hmm.
but
Come on.
aside from that, man, I think it's important for us to do the things that we know that will help minimize either contact that we might have with those who may be infected, or be able to mitigate uh, uh, whatever is going on. And so I was talking about making sure that you use your universal precautions. You wash your hands. You wipe off your countertops with something, something that kills viruses. Viruses are different than bacteria. Also, keep up your vitamin C. This will help you to be able to help your antibodies to be able to fight off the virus as well. And then, because of the fact that we are staying inside more often, please take your vitamin D. Why do you take your vitamin D? Vitamin D you would normally get from the sun, but because you're not out in the sun, you're probably lacking that. And so therefore you need to take it. Why? Because without vitamin D, or a lack of vitamin D, you can get cancers. And so these
So
are
is that a
things.
part of some of your tools for having peace?
Yeah, yeah. Because when I guess, Brother Stan, man, when you're doing things that to be, like, say, I worked in a place where there were a lot of bloodborne pathogens. And so, in order to be able to make it day by day, dealing with all these bloodborne pathogens around you, you had to put your gloves on, you had to put on your PPE kit. And I know that people at home don't have these things. You may have the gloves, but you probably don't have a PPE kit. You probably don't have something to put over your shoes and everything like that. But you want to stop these things from coming inside your home. This kind of gives you a little bit of assurance, and the assurance will give you some sort of a peace of mind that, hey, at least my area is clean. Now, when you have to go outside and get your essentials and everything like that, please put on your mask, put on your things that you need to do so that you're not spreading it and you're not getting in contact with it. And these things should be able to give you some peace of mind on an outside the biblical context. I'll pass the baton.
Got it. Okay, I like that. I like that. So if you just to sum all that up, if I may, making sure that you're doing your due diligence with keeping your hygiene up and heeding the advice of the medical professionals is a part of achieving, experiencing peace of mind. Is that accurate to say? All
Yeah.
right, so you guys have heard that. That's a part of having peace of mind. My next brothers.
Unlike Paul, I'm not a newlywed, but I am in the house with some teenagers / young adults. So for me, I'm
Hmm.
learning a lot about. Um, but with that being said, the question is about how do you find joy? And then, Brother Paul already touched on it that the four of us are worshipers. And so Stan and I were talking earlier this week, and I was explaining to him that for me, it's kind of hard for me to condescend or to step outside of my shoes and not look at things through the lens of being a worshiper. Um,
Hmm.
I feel like this time is an opportunity and a privilege, really, for everyone to go through their Job experience. Um, as I was looking through that particular book in the Bible, I stumbled across what is it, Job 4, verse
Mm.
6, where it states that, you know, isn't your fear of God your confidence? So if I'm looking at God from that perspective of a fear and a reverence of Him, and within that, that's where I gain my confidence, then I'm laughing at this situation, this pandemic that they're calling the coronavirus. Not in the sense of I'm laughing at the fact that people are dying, definitely, but in the sense of me panicking or me just losing my mind and oh, what is I gonna do? No, I'm not feeling that way. I'm feeling like God is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. So it's already a set time for when I'm supposed to expire. Either Jesus is gonna come before then, or He's gonna come after, right? But for me to sit up here and not live to be the example that He's calling me to be by walking around saying Christian, but having folks seeing me losing my mind, man, nah, that's not the move. I find peace in being at home as that introvert that Brother Steph was talking about, because I'm very comfortable being in an audience of one. I'm an introvert by circumstance, not by choice. So I grew up that way. Um, and with that being said, me being at home, being able to have access to my kids and really get to see them and even more in depthly familiarize myself with them, because I'm not at work a lot and whatnot. If I'm not at work, I'm doing ministry or something. So I don't get to spend as much time as I would like with my kids, particularly the older kids. So, yeah, I'm just finding
So hope is the difference for you then.
hope is a great
Hope for
difference.
something. You're saying hope for something better. Hope for something better in the immediate future, in the distant future, or just does your hope extend to where you are now? Just because is it some sort of confidence that you have?
Yeah, it's but
How would you?
myself. It's a confidence in the promise that He would come back, not just for me,
Hmm.
but for all of us. Right. And so, with that being said, I trust in that. So, it doesn't matter what the landscape of my life is looking like right now. Right. This still is not the end. And I think when folks allow themselves to invest in that, then they can get past this mental block of what am I going to do?
Got it. I like that. So again, well, in summary, you've got hope for something better, and you cannot separate your belief in God from how you operate on your day-to-day life. So because you're a believer, you're saying that, hey, I have a hope for something better. That's what gives me peace. Is
Then,
that?
I'm still walking around here, get my hair cut as usual, business as usual. I jump in the kitchen, I cook the meal. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna
Mm-hmm.
try and be as normal as I possibly can. And then let me say this before I pass the baton. The four of us are all men. The four of us are supposed to be priests of our home. So if the priest of the home shows panic and fear, not fear of God, but fear of what's going on around them,
Mm,
you get where I'm going?
Right. Right.
yeah.
So now my kids
Hi.
and my wife is looking crazy. Well, she probably isn't because she's Christ centered. Folks looking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Gotcha.
that's a problem. And I passed the baton. I didn't talk for a while.
Come on. I like that. I like that. Come on, Doc.
Not like when my brothers have talked about
We lost you
some
now.
tools.
Oh, there we go.
I like when my brothers were talking about. I said I want to add something, and the word I want to add to this is preparation.
Mm.
Being prepared, look prepared, feel prepared, and project for those that are around you. I am blessed to be married over 25 years, and my wife is a person that represents the Bible, which says cleanliness is next to godliness. I believe that the virus cannot come into my house because my wife keeps it clean on a
Y'all too
regular.
clean.
Yeah, on a regular. I drop some food on the floor and wham, Ajax, blam, 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 and my house smells clean. And so that's a blessing. I always knew it was a blessing, but now I'm saying, thank you, Jesus.
You appreciate it more, huh?
Yeah, as a worshiper, since we're worshipers, I need to worship, and we need to worship. And I'm worshiping tonight. I want to go to the book. The book of all books is found in Colossians chapter 3, and I just want to read verse 1 and 2, which kind of sets the tone for what my brother Paul's talking about. Is common sense. Everyone doesn't have common sense. It's not common for all of us, but the vitamin D's, the vitamin C's, the exercise, still loving on your wife loving on you, loving on your children. Let me just read this verse. Colossians 3 says this: since then you have been raised with Christ. Set your heart on things above, where Christ is, sitting at the right hand of God. Verse 2 says, and I end with this: set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. So we're talking about some earthly things that we need in preparation for the heavenly things. My brothers, my sister, this may be an invisible war that we're in, but it's more of a mental challenge. Men, I applaud you. Come together and fortify your mind, fortify your spirit, and lead. The women are looking to us to lead and stand firm. I'm in Southern California right now, and I thank God for it being the land of the living and know it. And we had an earthquake. So the ground shook. So the house shook. My wife looked at me. I said, baby, don't even worry about it. That's God talking to us. We're going to still keep having devotion. Don't let anything distract you. And I'll pass the baton.
I want to throw up a comment again that was sent in by Lana Wallace. So I'll let you guys read it. Just this one quickly.
Yeah. I listened to Lana's testimony last Sabbath, man, and it was Lana. Lana was real. She brought it, and put it all out there for us to be able to see. And yeah, you have those physicians. If you are looking for guidance from man, I understand that man can let you down, but I do understand that there are some men who are led by God. And be that as it may, we have the ability to be able to discern good information from bad information. And like I was saying to you guys, I have a little bit of experience in dealing with areas of contamination where there are biohazards and everything. And so a little different from this, but not so different that I can't use the same the same types of things for it. If you have those gloves, wear those gloves. If you can just plain soap and water, as far as being able to keep your hands clean. Because like I said, I touch my face a lot, and that puts me real close to touching my eyes, touching my my nose, and even touching my mouth. And these are ways of entry for this thing. I would say, going back to the original question, I wanted to touch on something real fast. I saw that over 700,000 unemployment filings this week. And some people may have looked at that as, wow, that's bad. I looked at it like, hey, over 700,000 filings for unemployment. There should be a lot of people talking about how God brought them, or God made a way out of no way. If 700,000 people have lost their jobs and all of these businesses are shutting down, and people have no way to be able to get to work to make their funds, and yet their mortgage is getting paid, their rent is getting paid, they've got food on the table and everything like that. There should be a lot of people talking about the goodness of God and how God made a way out of no way. Now, I understand that the government kind of bounced in there and said, hey, we're going to give you a check. But $1,200 isn't going to do a lot in the grand scheme of things. And so there are other things that are being thrown your way that I believe are coming straight from the throne room of God. And people should be able to give God a hand praise, a lift up your hand praise, come on, some type of praise, an audible praise, or something, because God is making a way out of no way. I pass the baton.
Okay, so I think I hear the implication. You're saying that, well, if a measly 700,000 people have, and that leaves multi-millions of others who still have a job.
Oh, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you lost your job and you still have food on the table and you still have clothes on your back and you still have a home to live in, if you are one of those 700,000, then you should be giving an audible praise.
That's right.
You should be giving a high praise.
Yeah,
you should be giving a hand praise.
All right. Now I see what you're saying. See, but I can receive that. I can receive that as a veteran believer. But let me just play devil's advocate for a little bit. Someone who's in that position of looking at the road ahead as saying, okay, we got at least another 30 days of this. And while I have survived for the past 2 weeks with food on my table, that might not be the case come 2 more weeks. And most especially not in a month from now. And while I believe it's easier for me and you, I've certainly had a lot of practice. You know, I've been in this God dash human game for a while now. You know, I've gotten good at it. I'm cool. I'm comfortable in my position. I've seen God bring me out of things that I know could only be attributed to him. But since everyone is not where I am or where we are, it's a little bit easier said than done. So is there anything that we might be able to share that could provide, I don't know, some insights? People are trying to get to where you are. They're not there yet. They're not there yet.
Let me
go ahead.
This real fast. And I'm gonna say that when I was a young man and I used to work in the oil fields, I used to work at the Shell refinery. No, it was the Texaco refinery. You guys remember Texaco? Texaco got bought by Chevron, but refinery right there on Rosedale Highway in Bakersfield and Fruitvale Avenue. And remember working at this large. It was the only gasoline refinery in Bakersfield. Others were just oil refineries, but this was a gasoline refinery. And I remember when I was working there, it was my first day, and the foreman told me this. He said, listen, you see that fire right there? He said, that's nothing. Let me give you something to pay attention to. If you see young men, you know, young guys that don't have a lot of time, ripping and running and everything like that, don't worry about it. But if you see those old guys over there, those old guys that have been here if you see them running to the fence, then you run to the fence. And so you are an old worshiper. I am an old worshiper. Dr. Dent is an old worshiper. Chris is in the middle. Chris is in the, Terrence is in the middle of the race.
Come on.
And so they should be able to look at us, and we should be able to tell them why we are having so much peace during a time.
Come on, preacher.
We are those old guys. Come on, man.
I like that. I like that. All right. I like that analogy. Go ahead, Terrence, jump in there.
Look, so I definitely got to piggyback off that one. So you talking about relationship, and you're also talking about preparation. I've heard both of those things come out so far since we've been in this discussion. So just recently, in the last few months, I've transitioned from one job into another job. The new job is paying more, but when I started, I wound up not getting as many hours as they had initially promised me. So this obviously it impacted my finances, right? But my relationship with God kept me in a place where I still knew that I was going to be secure. Look what the Lord did. I wasn't even paying any attention to anything related to the coronavirus. Now, as I know it, this thing was already, beginning to take real force back in December, even just not hitting us as hard. So, as I shared with you, Stan, before, all of a sudden, I'm sitting in front of my computer, and the Lord says, "You need to go online. You need to go look at this particular stock." Did exactly what He told me. I pull it up and I look. Man, I forgot I even had this stuff.
Come on, man.
Right? So the Lord said, "Don't take all of it. Just take X amount." Right?
Yeah.
So
stop it, Terrence. Stop it.
Me, man, I knew my wife would see that number and she was gonna have something to say. Right? But neither she nor myself knew why the Lord had me to grab this certain amount. So I pulled it out. They didn't whatnot, what have you. What happens? All of a sudden, they talking about we got a coronavirus in full swing. So, while everybody else is walking around like a chicken with their head cut off, Terrence is comfortable. Why? Because his God informed him of what to do before the coronavirus was even in full swing. But I'm not even done.
Yes.
So look. So then my current employer, they hit us up and they talking about, oh yeah, so we're an essential business. Who told you that? They sent me something talking about Berkeley, which is in well, one, I live in Santa Clara County. Two, my job is in San Mateo County. So I'm not quite understanding. Maybe you don't know how to read, but I'm not understanding how Berkeley, which is in Alameda County and has its own Department of Health, how they preside over what we're doing over here. So my manager, he said, "Oh, hold on, I sent you the wrong information." I know you did. So then it gets back to about San Francisco. I said, "Sir, maybe I didn't make myself clear. I have to make sure, as the head of my household, priest of my home, number one, that I and my family are safe."
Yes.
So, out of resignation, what this is, and that means that I'm going to observe and subscribe to this government agency, which told me to shelter in place. He said, "You know what? I understand that." He said, "You take care of yourself. I will forward that to HR." And that's it, and that's all. Financially, we've met every bill that we have. Food has not had any type of stagnation in terms of reaching our table. In fact, I can smell something cooking right now.
Come on now, look at you.
So,
just don't eat it in front of us.
Yeah.
Y'all were together, y'all be eating tacos. So
Watch it now.
But my point is that God provides. At the end of the day, God truly does provide. And it didn't take this coronavirus for me to know that. I gotta say that. It didn't take this coronavirus for me to know that. I have other stories where God then showed up in my life and showed out in my life, right? but we don't have enough time on the air for that right now. But I did
Mhm.
have to explain that since that's fresh and that's current, and that's something that I'm actually living right now. I pass the mic.
Yeah. Go ahead. You know what? Let me go ahead and jump in there. And I think that that really becomes the key now. So for those of you listening, if you're not a believer like we are, perhaps you're on the fence, or perhaps you're just not a believer at all, but you're just wondering how the believer does it. The essence of why we're able to go through challenges like this and have peace of mind, and in the case with me personally, as I keep stressing, experience joy, because despite what's going on, despite these restrictions, limitations, I'm still, you know, having joy is different from being happy.
Mm.
Sometimes they're the same, but they're not always the same. Happiness is a result of something that happens or something that you receive. Joy is the result. It's just because you didn't need anything given to you, you didn't need anything said. You just you're experiencing that same chemical release in the body that you feel when you're happy, except you didn't get anything to spawn it, to invoke it. And so, one of the reasons why we are this way is because, as Terrence just put it, we've experienced something with God that shows that He provides. And I just want to throw up this quote that let's see, Lana just let me see. I think it was this one right here, which is just absolutely powerful. I'll let you read that, because in a nutshell, this is saying just that. When you're aligned with the creator, and we can talk a little bit more about how, or if you have questions about how you can receive some membership in this club with God, feel free to post it um, in the chat and the thread here tonight, and we'll certainly be sure to get back with you. But if you're curious about how to experience life, to experience trials in your life where you are able to have peace and joy in the midst of this storm, in the midst of this craziness that's going on in the world, the difference is because, well, it's just God. It's God. And just so that I'm clear, because I know that there are many gods out there, I'm talking about the God who has a son named Jesus, who is also
Hey,
God. I can explain how that all works out, how they both are God, this, that, and the other at another time. But just so you know, because there are lots of gods out there, Buddha's God is a whole lot of gods. Krishna, Shiva, those are all gods. Baal, but I'm talking about the God, just so you know, I'm talking about, so we can be very specific, the God who has a son named Jesus, who is also God. But the difference for us is God. And so I just like this quote that she put up there, that he will provide. I'm gonna go ahead and let somebody else take over, because I could keep this going. So here's the last thing that I'll say. And that is that, um, again, all of those things that were mentioned beforehand, from having good hygiene that Paul mentioned, to executing the orders of our health professionals, which are good secular or non-religious tools, all those, we have to do all of those things. We believe in God, but we also have to do our own part. We have to do our own due diligence. So it's not just one and done. We say we're a believer in God, and then that's it, and we just expect him to do. No, we have a part to play. And so doing what Paul said earlier is something that we have to do. But the difference maker is just going to always be, God provided for Terrence. He had money put away before the storm came and didn't realize why he was doing that, but now he knows. So God is just, man, he's just awesome. He'll do things that will blow your mind. And if you don't believe, if you ever dare, I dare you to just talk with him if you don't believe him, and challenge him to reveal himself to you in a way that you would be convinced, that you would know that it could only be him, because no one else knows but you in your mind. And he would do just that. I'll pass the time.
So the first word we presented is preparation. I want
yes.
to leave you with some lyrics by Reverend James Cleveland. I don't feel no ways tired. God did not bring us this far to leave us.
Amen.
I want you guys to know something. I know we are articulating oh so eloquently, but this was not an easy journey for the four of us. I have to share that with you. We didn't just wake up one morning saying we're filled with the Holy Ghost. We're worshipers. We don't have any problems. No, all four of us have fallen so many times. But then the ingredient that we all have, we knew how to get back up quickly.
Mercy.
And it was because of the capital G-O-D. My brother Stan talked about various gods, but it's only one God that's capital G-O-D. The rest are lowercase G-O-D with the S. You can have all the gods. They can't handle my God with the capital G-O-D.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I'm feeling excited because my brother Paul was preaching for me. That brother gets me excited when he gets excited. Because I just start running. They don't even know why I'm worshiping. I'm worshiping because my boy's worshiping because I know he's real. He's transparent. Let me tell you something. Let me give you a little something.
That's synergy, baby.
Come on, I'm getting ready to
be jumping.
Come on.
That's the Holy Spirit be hopping around on people. Okay, go ahead. Hey, we're laughing, but we are serious about this.
Serious and hard time.
Come on.
I'm going to speak personally, then I'm going to give examples of the Bible. So what happens is, here's another tool. Our examples come from the biblical prophets that were before us, prophets and kings. And what they went through, there's a good possibility we can go through. So we use them as examples. Let me share this with you. When God turned the situation around, Joseph became a prime minister. When God changed things around, Sarah became fruitful. When God changes things around,
had a baby,
became a rich man. See, when God changes, Esther went from a slave to a queen. And when God changes our life, you're hearing the evidence of what God has done for us. And what he's done for us, he can do for you. Pass the baton.
Without a doubt. I just want to give a quick shout out to my brother Mark from back in the day, and my blood brother Brian out in Savannah, who are tuning in. Listen, bruh, it gets no realer than that. Come on, I know somebody else want to pick up that baton. Hey, don't let. Hey, so y'all starting to see these brothers get loose now. This is just the way we get down normally, and it actually was my desire to have this sort of come through in these talks. I mean, we're discussing serious stuff, but if we can't have fun and show that we're real and transparent, then we're just like any old other blog, any old other show, any old other podcast, if you will. And that is just not the case because we're not any old other brothers.
But Stan, can I jump in real quick?
Real. Come on.
I just want to say this real quick. Check it out, man. There's an old song that says this. It's an old hymn, or it says, "You better mind." No. You better mind. Judgment day is coming. You better mind. Then it goes on and say, "You better mind how you talk, walk."
Oh, you
judgment day is coming.
mind.
Yes. Then in the reply, that's the call. Mind. Yes. Why?
Judgment day is coming. You
say what?
Better mind. Oh, you better mind. Okay, though we ain't gonna sing the whole song tonight.
But I want to say that I want to make. I have to drill this point in. It's not easy being a leader. And we are leading our homes. Sometimes our wives follow us, sometimes they question our leadership, but sometimes they stick with us. And at the end of the road, they said, "I'm glad I followed you as head of your home." So we have to ensure, my brother Terrence said it, we as head of our house, our first job is to ensure our family is saved. Then we can go to cyberspace and try to save everybody else. But man, what if we saved everybody in cyberspace? And we love you, cyberspace people. We are worshipers. We want to worship with you, but we want to ensure that our family is saved. So when we get to that great getting up morning, fare thee where, we can say, "Jesus, here's the family that you loaned us."
Right.
Our children are on layaway playing. I'm still playing with my girls.
Right.
Huh?
I got you. I got you. Yeah, we're stewards. We're stewards. As
Yeah,
parents,
yeah,
yeah, we
yeah,
understand that we're stewards.
yeah. And you know what? I don't think we've come to the point, even at Gethsemane. We're not even there. Where Jesus asked his boys, "Man, can you just pray with me for a while?" No, seriously, can you? And what they say, sure. And what they do, they're falling asleep like some of the leaders now.
Mm-hmm.
They're asleep
Mm,
when they should be praying. Now, here's my last antidote to answer your question. There's a lot of people that can grow right now, and you can reconnect and redevelop a relationship by doing one simple things that most of the leaders across the world cannot do, and that is this:
come on, say it.
call someone, reach out
Wow.
to someone, text someone, email someone. There was a white minister, and I didn't want to say it's not an ethnic a group, it's just a state of facts. There was a white preacher in the South that said, "I'm going to have church anyway. I don't care if they can't tell me who when to have church and who not to bring." And he was prosecuted and he was put in jail, and now he's getting ready to serve some time. I forgot the length, but render to things that are Caesar to Caesar, and to God to God. This road is not easy, but together we can make it. Hallelujah.
Is there anybody who would like to? So you've eloquently, Dr. Chris, addressed a great many of us, um, fathers who have families with wives and with children, which also addresses children who are staying at home. So what you gave was a good word for people who fall into that category. And even though you didn't spell them out, this particular target audience, single men could also take what you said and find some encouragement, find some hope in it. But what about some single women? Is there anything that anyone could say to single women who might be saying to themselves, well, you know what, I'm not married yet, fellas. And so, everything you said has been good for the man who has a wife who's following him. But what about for me? I'm not married yet. Is there, do you have any special do you have anything encouraging that you can say to
Sure.
them?
I can say something real quick, then I know my brothers have something to articulate. It's everything in life is based on two components: building relationships and making relative or the correct choice. So if you're male or female, if you build a relationship with God, the master builder, then he'll build your relationship. And you may find a man through the coronavirus. You may find a strong man leading out, huh? And when they get married, they're gonna ask, "How did you? What did you find in this man?" He said, "He stood fast during the midst of a storm. He stood strong during the earthquake." So, first relationship we had was with God, and then fellow man. I'll pass the baton.
Yes.
Well, question again, Stan. What do
Well,
we say?
oh, how do you mean the question for tonight's topic? How do you find peace in a time like this?
Single women?
Oh,
I
then
I don't do too much differentiate
Right.
in a lot of the things that we've said, and it's not
uh,
necessarily that. Go
well,
ahead.
wait, let me just jump in real quick. So what I was explaining was that many of the words of wisdom that Dr. Chris was sharing had to do with showing how we, as the priests of our homes, must stand strong and not show the weakness because our family is looking to us. And so this is good words of wisdom to other men who have families and who are priests of their homes. And so I was asking if anyone had any words of wisdom that they could just share to some of the single women who are out there, because arguably what he shared, a single man would also be able to relate to it. He would, he would say, I'm not married yet, but that time will come. So I need to practice right now while I'm single, being strong and showing unwavering faith towards God, so that when the time comes, I'll be able to stand. But for the, there could be some single women out there saying, okay, man, can y'all break me off a little, break me off a piece of some wisdom, words of wisdom for me as a single woman. I'm not there yet.
Wow, it would be really nice if we had some women on this panel.
Well, we're
Amen.
gonna have to. Well, we're gonna do that. We're gonna break up this boys' club. It's
I
not
think
a
Yeah.
boys'
I'm
club.
hearing
It's
Renee's
not.
voice.
It's yes, yes.
Hey, she went just like this. Hey, she said,
Fake
Uh-oh.
Corona, fake
yeah,
Uh-oh.
Corona.
yeah,
Hey,
she coughing in the
that's
arm and stuff.
hey, that's becoming faux pas now. She got to be careful what she do there. Don't do that outside of
Hey,
the house.
hey, hey, you don't want to be calling
Should be
things in.
quarantined.
Yes, yes. But I like this response that my brother Brian mentioned. He said, "Follow her father." So that's one. That's a good piece of wisdom right there. So if you're a single woman, and you're saying to yourself, "Well, I'm not married yet. I don't have a man to follow." Well, that man right now, your father. And if God forbid your father's not here with you, we just hope that you have an uncle or another male figure that
Mhm.
you also can just reach out to. Um, if not, I'm not trying to really put that out there, but you reach out to us and we'll try to put a
Look,
locator
I,
out on
if I could jump
it.
in, God, when He speaks to us, He doesn't just speak to us men. Uh, Dr. Dent brought up Esther. We have seen situations in the Bible where women have taken leadership roles.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so He doesn't just speak to men, He speaks to women as well. You are, you,
There it is.
there are women believers out there. God speaks to
Mhm.
them. They hear His
Mhm.
voice.
Well,
And you know what? Sometimes they listen to Him a whole lot better than we do.
Say that.
yeah, a whole lot. Now you said it right there, and you know what? And that's that was the absolute truth from the very beginning.
Mhm.
That's why I opened up the floor, and that is, ladies, anybody who's a single, who's out there, or just a single lady without a husband just yet, you don't need you at this point. You are the priest of your home because you
Mhm.
have you to take care of.
Mhm.
And God will take the place of
That's
Jesus will
right.
take the place of any man in the meantime.
Mhm.
In
Mhm.
fact, when the earthly man comes, you still keep Jesus in the number one spot.
That's right.
But
That's
you'll
right.
have somebody that you can relate to and lie your head down next to. But that is
and
absolutely true. We've got plenty of examples in the Bible,
yep.
sufficient examples in the Bible of women who did the thing and showed us how it was done, and no man has done it since then. Come on,
And
bro.
and they know this, and I'm gonna tell you why they know this, because back in the day when we were single men and we were out there hunting, that was one of the things they used to tell us, wasn't it? Hey, I'm in love with Jesus.
And they
Jesus
Okay, now
is
never
you.
got
my
married.
man.
They never got
Yeah,
married.
yeah, all right. Okay, we're not gonna take it there. I know. We're not gonna go there. But you're right. Now you bringing up the past. Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
I guess I did say I wanted it to be real. I wasn't. I didn't know we was gonna take it there tonight.
When we were
But
single,
no.
when we were
Mm,
single.
no,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
right. That was a line that we would often hear from women who were letting us know the time ain't right now, and you just not gonna get any action. Jesus is my man. He's all the man I need. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was a heartbreaker back then. I didn't hear that too many times, though, I have to say.
Yeah,
I
you
want to.
can't
But
keep
it,
Jesus.
Yeah. I just want
but
to throw this in. Oh,
come
go
on.
on.
Oh
I
no,
just
no,
want
I
to
was
throw
just
this
gonna
in
say.
briefly. Oh, go on.
Oh no, no. Okay, real quick. Now, I was just gonna
Mm.
Miss Zarina Alicon threw this statement up. She said, Paul, that she agreed with that her mom has now become the pillar of the house with her faith. So another perfect living, close to home example of a situation where dad is no longer with us, and Zarina, our heart still continues to go out to you,
Mhm.
because it's going to be a while before that pain subsides. But you are so right that your mom
Mhm.
has willingly and extraordinarily just stepped into that position to take over. So yeah, Doc Chris, go ahead and
There's another song that we heard over the years, and it's God uses ordinary people, just like
come
you and
on,
me.
another familiar song.
Here's the key: that are
So
willing to do His command.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry. So it's not about gender. It's willingness.
Yeah.
Right.
Even if you're a
Come
child,
on.
God can
That
use
is.
you. My brother Terrence talked about his son taking a leadership role, not even knowing that he did. And the father said, "Let me follow my son." So
Mm-hmm.
God used Terrence's son in that capacity. God uses my wife many times because I bounce stuff off her, and she'll say, "Honey, I heard what you said, but here's another option. Here's another way that you can do it." I'm like, "Okay, let me follow you, baby, because you follow me, and then I can follow you." Um, Another key component, we talked about preparation, we talked about other components, is our wives, those who are married. If you're single, you have someone in your life, they have to actually see you pray. They have to see you on your knees, and they have to see you talking to God. I mean,
Mm,
you can't get no more intimate if your significant other or your wife does not hear you pray, see you pray, closet prayer, and then you go to them. There's no relationship. There's something wrong. I don't care what nobody says. You can argue with me all you want to. If you are in a relationship and you two are on your knees holding hands and praying, there is something wrong, because the two should be as one unit. Yes, we have our
mm,
individual prayer life. I understand that. But collectively, we need to come together and strengthen the body of believers, because we're worshipers now. You can worship by yourself, but there's nothing wrong with working with your wife. There's a song that said there's nothing wrong. And I can't even finish the part of that song, but there's still nothing wrong. God bless you. Let me go on and just pass that baton.
So that was Dr. Chris's final statement. I'm gonna give my other brothers about 15, 20
Trying to
seconds.
keep it 100.
Give the final thought. It is. In the
Can y'all
context,
hear
and
me?
no
Because I
doubt
can't
is.
hear y'all.
Oh yeah, we can hear you all right.
You can hear me?
Kanye West
We
Choir.
heard you. We heard you. Go ahead. Final thoughts. Final thoughts. 15 seconds.
Paul, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. And my final thought is the very thing that I began with. Make sure that you are keeping up with your vitamin C. Make sure that you are taking your vitamin D because you're not going outside. Make sure that you keep washing your hands. It's important for you to wash your hands. And I don't care if your Bible happens to be in your cell phone, or you happen to have a hardback, or you have a paperback. Make sure that you stay in contact with the master, because he is the healer. And so I'll pass the baton.
So I'm gonna finish where I started as well, and I'll leave everyone with this. This is out of the book of Job, chapter 5, and it says here, but he saves the needy from the sword of their mouth and from the hand of the mighty. So the poor have hope, and injustice shuts her mouth. Behold, blessed is the one whom God reproves. Therefore, despise not the discipline of the Almighty, for he wounds, but he binds up. He shatters, but his hands heal. He will deliver you from 6 troubles. In 7, no evil shall touch you. In famine, he will redeem you from death, and in war, from the power of the sword. So I look at those texts, and it just reminds me of who God is. And again, that no matter what the landscape of my life is, that God is still on. I need not worry. Stan?
Nice, nice. Oh, well, you know what? I just want to share, I guess, as my final thought that so we've heard a lot of great pieces of advice from being certain that you exercise good judgment as a human. You don't have to be a believer to do that, because we all have our part to play. Jesus expects for us to do something, and basically he does the rest. What we can't do is when he steps in. And he does that for very good reason. He doesn't want anybody to be able to take the credit for what he does. So when you can't do anymore, you just can't do it because you just can't figure it out. You're not capable. That's when he steps in. And then when it's all said and done, you can only say that it was God who did it. So we have to do our part by exercising good hygiene, good cleanliness, follow the orders of our health professionals. But at the end of the day, what gives us that peace of mind, what gives us that ability to experience joy during the midst of a storm, the difference is Jesus. The difference is our God, knowing that we have hope for something better, knowing that he will always take care of us, and that even if he decides that we have to, that our lives come to an end, See, we still have hope for something better. And it doesn't dismay us. It doesn't dismay. I'm not dismayed if I were to lose my life because of coronavirus. I know that in the end, that I will have my life returned to me. And that's a hope that's priceless and that you cannot pay for. You can't get anywhere else. And so with that said, I just want to say, hey, thank you for joining us tonight. And if you join us on Facebook Live or YouTube Live, thank you too. And I guess we'll be back in 2 weeks for this. We'll have another hopefully interesting, compelling topic, but topic that we can impart some good wisdom and help individuals out with. And so my final thought is, oh, the depths of the riches and wisdom and knowledge of God, how unsearchable are his judgments and how unfathomable his ways. For from him and through him and to him are all things. To him be glory forever. Amen.
Amen.
All right. And so,
All right.
Blessings, brothers.
Fellas, we'll see you next time.
Holla at your boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.